Hi, welcome everyone to the microChicago Roundtable series. This is our Brown Line Roundtable, and today I am joined by AC WIlcoxen. Thank you for joining us on this muggy Sunday morning. Uh,
Yes, having me.
those, for those of you joining us, microChicago is a newer Chicago storefront outfit, primarily focusing on our microform work that's manifested recently in our residency playwright series with our quarterlies, as well as our continuing exploration of the Chicago elevated train system. This, of course, as I've already mentioned, is for our part four series of the Brown Line. 27 stops from the loop all the way up to Kimball. As I mentioned, I am joined today by AC WIlcoxen. Feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks. So yeah, my name is AC. My pronouns are they, them. Yeah, that's my introduction.
Lovely, lovely. We may have a surprise joiner at some point, Leah Yakton Dawson, who also wrote one of the plays. So yeah, just I guess to kind of kick us off, how are you doing? How's your summer going?
It's going really good. I've been getting involved with different things. I just did a show called Courtney versus Cancer at the IO last month, which was a lot of fun. Shout out to everybody in that cast. And then, just doing a bunch of writing and trying to enjoy some Chicago beaches, that sort of
Oh
thing.
yeah, it is Chicago summer season.
Absolutely.
Gosh, well, are you from the city proper, or how'd you get here?
It's a great question and a long story that I won't go into detail about, frankly. I am not from Chicago. I'm actually from about 90 miles directly west of Chicago. So Chicago was always like the city for me growing up. You know, as kids, we used to drive in and take the L around the city, just drop our cars somewhere. But I made it to Chicago kind of on accident. I just like, again, the long story that I won't go into detail. It was like a house here fell through, a house there fell through. I was in Carbondale, Illinois. I was in St. Louis. And then just so happened that this apartment that I live in now opened up. And I was like, okay, I'm going. So if you want to know more details, become friends with me and I'll tell you the whole story.
How long have you been in the city?
3 years.
3 years, 3 years. And how's that? How's it? How I know usually that first year, right, is especially if you didn't grow up in a city necessarily, at least for me, it takes a minute to get used to all the things, but it sounds like you had a little bit of familiarity coming in.
Yeah, I was very familiar with Chicago already coming in. I mean, it was, like I said, the city that I spent the most time in. And then I've also lived all over the place. I've lived in Portland, Oregon, New Orleans, Louisiana, St. Louis for a while. And they're obviously much smaller cities, but, Chicago was the city growing up. So I was very familiar with, especially the neighborhood that I live in because my friends live here. And that's how I ended up in Albany Park.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love Albany Park.
It's a great spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other great thing. Something that we are long term thinking about, like exploring. It's a city of neighborhoods.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. And
there,
even like, one neighborhood next to Albany Park is going to feel very different than where I'm at. But
yeah, literally that for me was the thing is like you can cross the street and you're in a different town
yeah.
altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I love Albany Park. I think it's a great neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, what you wrote for the Wellington,
Mhm.
I believe is that's a word, Wellington stop.
Yeah.
What I guess what interested you in writing for that stop specifically, or just I guess the Brown Line in general?
So yeah, I have always loved the L. Like I said, when we were teenagers, like as soon as we got licenses, like we were driving to the city, dropping our car and just riding the train all over. And so like as a kid growing up, especially like in a rural area, there's like so much, I feel like there was always so many like hopes and dreams attached to the train specifically, because we would get on the train and we could just go explore the whole city. And that felt like it opened this whole world to us that like we just didn't have in our like honestly like a cow town. So I've always had this like deep affection for the train. But then of course, like spending a lot of time in Albany Park, both before I moved here because my good friends lived here, and then moving here myself. The Brown line obviously became a staple in my life. And the Wellington stop in particular, I mentioned when I submitted that piece that it was inspired by real life events, which is why I had that drawing to go along with it. It's not like a literal retelling of like specific, the actual story or whatever, but, I met the person who's currently my partner, who the piece is, involves, I guess, after moving to Chicago. And we spent a lot of time going back and forth between Lakeview and Albany Park to see each other. And there was even times, because I was finishing writing my dissertation actually when we met. And so sometimes I just needed like a change of environment for writing. And so I would stay with them in Lakeview, and they would take the train down to River North, and I would just go to a coffee shop and do some writing at a coffee shop for a while. And there was like an old Foxtrot that I'm sure is, one of the ones that did not reopen. Yeah. That was underneath this like curved part of the track of the Brown line. And I just would like always have like music on. It just felt so romantic. And I know it maybe sounds silly to say, but I feel like the train is super romantic.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You get it. And so it was like in the spring, so it was like raining a lot, and it would be like this like rainy sky with like the perfect music and like the curved train going by. And I just was like, oh, this is like the greatest romance of all time. And so, and this kind of speaks to like some other things I know that we wanted to talk about it with like my creative process, but I'm someone who I struggle a lot with like depression and things like that. And so I tend to, in my art, try to find beauty. Like I'm constantly seeking beauty. I'm constantly seeking joy for things to inspire my art, because it just helps me. It helps me manage like the things that I'm going through internally a lot. Yeah. And so that the train actually really does symbolize a lot of that for me. And so that's, my relationship to the L and the Brown line generally. But then, of course, at that stop, I actually did have the trying to scream at my partner across from the platforms that I opposite have hated them, because they were trying to tell this. It didn't happen at the train station at first, but they were trying to tell me how they felt about me. And, they were like, I opposite of hate you, whatever that is. And I was like,
Oh, great line.
And so then I, tried to scream it from across the platforms as I was going back home to Albany Park, and they were going down to River North to work. And it just became part of our love story, as cheesy as that is.
Oh, no, that's amazing. Oh, gosh. Brown line, the most romantic of the lines.
Yes, it is the most romantic of the lines, the Brown line.
But it's such also like a true thing. So many people will go to the same stop and they're going in opposite directions. And there's just that, there is a romance of like, well, I see you again.
Yeah. Well, it's the awkwardness too, that I also tried to like display in the thing I wrote, where there's like, you're standing on opposite sides and you're like, we just like came from spending the night together, and you just said this thing to me that like kind of, we like each other, but like, are we ready to say love? And like, and now we're standing on opposite sides of the platform and we can see each other, but we can't really talk. And this just feels really awkward.
Right. It's that, okay, bye. Oh, we're both walking in the same way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to either speed up, or we're going to awkwardly like, okay, we were done back there, but.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. So, you've kind of touched on a little bit of like your process, I think, but how go a little bit more into that. So you kind of just post up, and like, how does a play come to you? I know sometimes people are like, it just kind of comes down. Sometimes you see something. How does a play, or just generally creating for you, kind of manifest? What's the inciting thing?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it feels like I feel like it's constantly changing, which I think is a good thing, that I don't just have one approach or one process. But I think a lot of times I'm a very passionate person. And so things that really bring me joy, or things that really make me angry are things that like usually inspire me the most. And then I also it feels like sometimes if it's like a thing that's like nagging at me, like I can't get it off of my back, then I know that I have to like deal with it in some way creatively. But then, yeah, like you said, I get images too. And I tend to incorporate like movement or other types of art into a lot of the things I write as well. And so even thinking about like the brown line piece that I wrote for this, like there was the the thing about like starting in the station downstairs and then going up to the platforms, which is like something that obviously would be difficult to like perform on a stage, but it like presents the opportunity for there to be like some kind of like visual art or video art or something like that can like portray some of that more hard to logistically do kinds of things if one were to do it in person. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Awesome. Oh gosh. What are my other questions? Goodness. Oh Lord. Well, what were some of the challenges, I think, right? Because the thing that I noticed talking with like some playwrights, most people are working on like a longer work, right? And then to come to like a 10-minute play where you have to take all of that and really, really focus it. And then to go even smaller, right? With the 1-page or sometimes a 2-page play. What did you notice? Any challenges? Were there any fun discoveries or maybe parallels that you noticed just in your general process that kind of came about from writing this for the Brown Line?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like a lot of writers, I started in theater as an actor, and so for me, the things that I always get the most excited would always get the most excited about getting in a script was like characters that felt rich, right? So not just like service of like, oh, this is like something that's serving the writer, but something that would feel fun to perform as an actor.
Yeah.
And so I always try to incorporate that in my writing. And obviously in short form, it's like, it's a bigger challenge to try to get like specifics of a character in there, And so like, how do I kind of convey the kind of awkwardness of a character or the sassiness of a character, in like 1.5 pages. And so that was definitely a challenge, but a fun one for me, honestly. And I think doing short form writing can be a really great space to try to challenge yourself in that way.
Awesome. Well, we are at the microbite portion of our, I was going to say evening, but morning. Still 11 o'clock. Wow. And these are just really fun, rapid fire. It's kind of just our lightning round. So I'm going to just kind of toss out some really quick questions, whatever comes out, right? Your impulse. And yeah, we'll kind of veer into a nice kind of soft close, if that works.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. With Chicago being a pizza place, are you thin or stuffed?
Both. I mean, there's an occasion for both. You can't make me choose.
Fair. Yeah. Do you have a go-to pizza place?
What is it called? I feel like you're going to need to like pause the video that I'm recording for this. JB Alberto's.
Yes, that is my favorite pizza in the city.
Okay, there you go.
What is the best Chicago hot dog?
I mean, anything like, obviously you have to have Vienna beef. That's like the number one rule. I know people get like hung up on ketchup or whatever, but the number one rule is it has to be Vienna beef. Like, but I don't know. I mean, I just go to the place that's like nearby my place, by the Brown Line stop, by the Kimball stop. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's right there,
Yeah. It's that one, it's like right along across from the wall.
Yeah, it's right next to Nighthawk.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. What was the last thing that you watched and or read?
Okay. So the last thing I read in full was Jordan Tannehill's Theater of the Unimpressed.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was, it's kind of about like sort of some of the pitfalls of American theater and how we get kind of caught up in sort of capitalist endeavor of it all. And these days, increasingly, the kind of social media pressures of it. And that can kind of stifle sort of thinking big. And so, yeah, I recommend it to anybody who's feeling some maybe frustrations with that. The last thing I watched actually was, and this has definitely contributed to like the weirdness that my head has been this past week, was I like finally binged like all of Squid Game. So
Oh man.
It's not a show to binge. I can definitely say I've been putting it off for years because I knew it was going to be a hard watch, but I was like, all right, let's just do this. Let's do this. And yeah, it's been a hard watch and it's definitely put me in a weird headspace.
Oh man, gosh. Well, you've got the rest of the Sunday to let it just kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. What's a favorite play or show that you've seen this summer, or I guess just this year?
Oh man, I've seen a lot. The most recent one that I saw though was at the Steppenwolf. It was actually my first time going to the Steppenwolf because it's, kind of expensive. Love the
Yeah.
Steppenwolf, but it's kind of expensive. But it was so great. It was the You Will Get Sick. It was so good. Yeah, I like literally left crying. So yeah,
That
super great experience.
that cast to see Amy Morton someday.
She was incredible. I mean, I knew she was going to be, but like, yeah, she was incredible.
Man. What is your favorite summer activity?
Going to the beach and reading a book.
Nice. Amazing. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading a book called, God, I don't even remember what it's called. But it is about like a person who gets taken over by a computer kind of thing. I just started it, so I could go find it, but I don't think we have time for that.
It's topical. It's topical.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the favorite spot on the? You kind of already answered this earlier. What's
Yeah.
your favorite spot on the Brown line or other elevated line?
I mean, the Wellington spot, while I have a soft spot for it, is not my favorite spot. My favorite spot is like in my neighborhood, the Kedzie stop. So just,
Right.
I don't know, I have so many memories of so many great days starting at that stop. So
Yeah. Oh gosh. Uh, and I guess the last L stop you were at.
the Kedzie stop.
What was the last script or piece of text that you were working on?
Yeah, so I'm currently working on two full-length plays. One of them is further along than the other, but I started this in 2018 and it's taken so many different versions at this point, and I'm just really hoping that this is the version that sticks. It is kind of a dark comedy dystopia, like a world in which after the computers have taken our jobs, basically.
Yeah.
And I work with I want to work with a lot of dancers for it because I've been taking dance classes for the last year at the Hive in Ravenswood. Shout out to the Hive. And I've been deeply inspired by the way that dance and movement can convey even more than like I've even seen it do in the past or have incorporated it in the past. And so, yeah, that's kind of like a quick and dirty version of it, but that's what I've been working on. Yeah.
Awesome. Chicago summer is blank.
Sticky.
That is so accurate. Um, we could all use a little more blank in the world.
Nuance.
Nuance. And when you're not writing, you are
I don't know, probably napping.
truly. Well, you can get to a wonderful nap here in the afternoon because we've reached the end. We are here at the end of our Brown Line Roundtable. I guess before we leave, what are some creative endeavors that you have kind of in the works? I know you mentioned you're currently working on a couple different plays. You've kind of got your summer vibes out there. Anything coming up in the next month or so? I know you also are an adjunct professor, right?
I am, yeah. So the semester's starting soon. I have also joined the directing team of this grant-funded project that is called 321 Plays for Trans Futures. So check out that Instagram page that was put together by some really great people that collected playwrights from all over the country. And it's going to be an 11-hour long kind of endurance piece that's going to be happening downtown at the Fine Arts Building in November. But we've started meeting for that and having rehearsals for that. And again, I'm going to be part of that directing team because it's 11 hours. There's going to be 3 of us working on directing that. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that. Hopefully working with you for Rhino Fest, which you could talk way more about than I could. So I'll let you do that. But yeah, that's coming up. So some exciting stuff. And then, like I said, working on finishing my scripts and hopefully, being able to work deeply with dancers and choreographers and put together something kind of surreal and dark, but yet still bringing a hopeful tone to the kind of difficult place that I think all of us are living through right now with regards to like where is the country going, where is the world going, so
Truly, truly. That's amazing. I am such a fan of the endurance theater concept and like please send us the information so
yeah,
that
of
we
course.
can share as much of that as possible. Especially like 11 hours, trans stories. Yes.
Yeah, it's really great. So yeah, the Instagram page is just called 321 Plays for Trans Futures, so if
Oh,
people want to follow that.
yeah. Awesome. And thank you again for sharing, a little bit of your Sunday morning on this sticky summer day to just kind of chat a little bit about your experience, your connection to the city and to the Brown Line, and just sharing a little bit about yourself and your process. Definitely hope to have you again for another L. And especially excited to get to collaborate on the body politic, which, shameless plug, is kind of the next microChicago project. To be part of the Rhino Fest lineup in September. And we're going to be at the Labyrinth Club Thursdays the 11th, 18th, and 25th at 7 p.m. And you can see some more micro plays, some 10-minute plays by the ensemble, and just kind of to your point, exploring, the hope and resistance that we can find in these really weird times.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, AC, for riding the Brown Line with us and for sharing a little bit about your experience with it. And for those of you joining us now, thank you. If you've never joined us before and you're joining now, thank you. And words are hard. But we hope you join us again to explore the infinite space of small.